Welcome to our 45-minute Vinyasa practice. This is the Denver Yoga Club practice, and obviously we're not in the park today because the weather is still a little bit chilly and there's also snow on the ground. But I'm hoping that this Saturday we will be outside, so feel free to sign up on Schedulicity for the Saturday morning class. And if the weather is inclement as usual, I'll email you and let you know, and then you can just switch over to the virtual class instead of the in-person class. Take a couple of moments in a seated posture. Actually, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's begin our practice today in child's pose. To come into child's pose, come down to your knees, bring the big toes together, and bring your knees wide so the knees come all the way out to the edges of the mat. And then keep your spine long and let your forehead, if it can, come all the way down to the mat. You can reach your arms forward if you like. That'll create a little stretch in the shoulders. And if that doesn't feel quite right, you can maybe kind of bring your hands together, taking opposite, or arms together, taking opposite elbows. And we're going to be here about 10 breaths. Each time you exhale, see if you can relax a little bit and feel your chest moving down towards the mat. It probably isn't going to reach all the way, but it may. And just begin to notice how on the exhale you soften, releasing into the post, or into the pose. About 5 more breaths. Let the breath deepen. Now my chin is coming down to the mat, and the tip of my nose is touching the mat. I'm trying to keep my spine nice and long and drawing my navel up. About 3 more breaths. And 2 more now. And 1 more deep breath in. And then exhale. After the exhale, slowly walk your hands back so the hands come more or less under the shoulders. Bring the knees back so they're about hip width apart. And then come up to table pose. In table pose, the hands are under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips. Draw the navel up a little bit so you're not arching the low back too much. Keep your gaze straight down so you're looking almost between your thumbs on your mat. Now inhale to cow pose, dropping the belly, lifting the chin so you're looking straight forward. And then when you exhale, bring your chin towards your chest and press your hands into the mat. Think about drawing the navel up towards the spine. Feel the stretch in the mid-back. Now inhale to cow pose. And then exhale to cat. And just continue flowing between cow and cat. And we're going to do that about 7 times total, so 3 or 4 more times through. Let your breath begin to deepen. And just notice how your body feels moving through this flow. Notice any tension, notice any aches and pains. Notice any little twinges, and also notice the good stuff. Notice if it feels really nice to be able to flow in this way, breathing in and breathing out with the movement. Let's try it 2 more times through. Big, long, deep breaths. Then begin to make your way back to a neutral spine. Once you're there, keep pressing both hands into the mat and actually straighten the elbows so your shoulders rise up a little bit. Now bring the weight into the left knee. You may want to scoot the left knee over an inch or so towards the middle of your mat. And then reach the right leg straight back, pressing through the right heel. Keep pressure in both hands, both the palms as well as the pads of the fingers. And then see if you can point the toes on that right foot. Point the toes and stretch back towards the back of your mat and then level your hips. Keep your gaze down right between the thumbs. Keep pressing back through the toes on that right foot. Breathing deeply. feeling the muscle activation in that right leg, in the core. 2 more breaths. Stay with it. You're doing great. Keep the elbows straight. Now, after the exhale, begin to bend the right knee and slowly bring the right knee forward, rounding the spine. See if you can touch your nose to your knee or your knee to your nose, and then press back through the right heel. Now rotate the toes on the right foot so the toes point to the right. That's going to lift your right hip up above the left a little. Now bend the right knee and bring it forward, touching the right shoulder if you're able to, and then press back through the right heel. Now rotate the toes on that right foot so they point down, and then point through the toes, stretch back so you're stretching out of that right hip joint, and then bring the right knee forward a second time, touching the nose. And then just let that right knee drop down right below the hip, but it doesn't touch the mat quite yet. Now pick the right knee up and let it come down. And again, pick the right knee up straight out to the right and bring it down. One more time. Pick the knee up and then let it come down. And then we're back to table pose. Bring the knees again so they're about hip width apart. Inhale to cow pose. We're going to flow through 3 times. And then exhale into cat. Draw your navel up as you move into cat pose. And again, inhaling to cow. And a big, complete exhale into cat. We've got one more to do. Inhale to cow. And then exhale to cat. And then come back to a neutral spine. From there, move that right knee over so it's more to the center of your mat. And then straighten your left leg. Press back through the left heel. Probably going to feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of that left leg if you're pressing through the left heel enough. And keep pressing. And now point the toes on the left foot and stretch the toes back towards the back of the mat. Take the time to feel the activation of the muscles in the leg. I'm feeling that both in the quads and the hamstrings as well as the gluteal muscles on the left side. And of course, because the toes are pointing towards the back of the mat, I'm feeling it in the calf muscle as well. A couple more breaths. Stay with it. Keep pressing the hands into the mat. One more breath. You're doing great. Now slowly bend that left knee and bring it forward, noticing how your spine is rounding. And then touch your nose with your knee if you can, and then press straight back through the left heel, straightening the left leg. Now rotate the toes on the left foot so they point to the left. Notice your left hip has come up. It's above the right hip. Now bring the right knee forward. Maybe touch the shoulder, and then press straight back through that left heel. Now bend the right knee, and then let the knee fall down, but it doesn't touch the mat. On an inhale, lift the knee up to the left, so the knee is at the level of the hip, and then let the knee come down, and we'll do that one more time. Just activating those abductor muscles, and then bring that left knee down. Bring the knees about hip width apart. Now, walk the hands forward about 6 inches or so. Press the hips back to the heels. Feel the length in the spine. And then glide the hips forward and down. We're going to go through a dynamic cat-cow flow. And then press back, reaching the tailbone towards the heels, lengthening the spine, keeping the hands where they are so you create that stretch at the between the shoulder blades. Then glide the hips forward and down. Let's do that 3 more times, pressing back with the tailbone, and then gliding the hips forward. Press the hips down now, look straight forward, press into the palms, and then back and forward. We're going to go through it one more time. Back, and then forward, and then come back to table pose. Once you're there, bring your hands back so the hands are under the shoulders. Press your hips to the right, pressing into that left hand. And now bring your head over to the left and kind of pull your left shoulder back a little bit so that you start to feel a stretch in the side body. And then back to center and over to the other side. Same thing on the other side. So draw your head over to the right, pressing the hips to the left. And then back to center. Let's do that one more time on each side, pressing the hips to the right. The head moves to the left. And back to center. Last one. And then bring it back to center. Now, let your hips drop to your heels. I'm just going to turn and face you here so you can see better what we're doing. Let your hips drop to your heels. This is hero pose, Virasana. Palms on the thighs. Take a deep breath. And then notice that your shoulders now are pretty much square to the mat. If you can, well, actually, let's just leave the hands on the thighs. Breathe in deeply, and then pull the shoulders back and let them come down. Keep your gaze straight forward and drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Now let your chin come to your chest, and now the left ear moves towards the left shoulder. Relax the right shoulder a little bit, and let the chin drop to the chest. Again, right ear to right shoulder, and chin to chest, and left ear to left shoulder, and chin to chest. Now on an inhale, lift the chin up high. And then as you exhale, draw your navel in towards your spine, bring your chin to your chest, round your spine, and bring your forehead down. Maybe touch the forehead to the knees if you can. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Press into the hands and lift your chest, lift your chin. And chin comes to chest, rounding the spine. Remember to draw the navel in. That'll help you round forward. And inhale and rise up. This time release the hands, cactus the elbows, palms face forward. Notice my elbows are about level with my shoulders. And on an inhale, pull the shoulders or the elbows back, lift the chin, take a deep breath. Then as you exhale, release your hands, reach them high, bring them behind you, interlace your fingers behind your back, and now straighten your elbows, and as you press your hands away from your shoulders, you'll find your shoulder blades coming together on your back. Take a deep breath in. Then as you exhale, begin to fold forward without rounding in the spine. So keep your spine nice and long, and then let your head come down. The arms are probably going to reach up and overhead. Now engage the core deeply as you rise back up. Once you're up, pause for a moment, press the knuckles towards the back of the mat. Notice you're drawing the shoulder blades even closer together on your back, and then release the hands. Second time, cactus the elbows. We're going to find that back bend. Lift your chin. Inhale deeply. Press the chest up towards the sky. And then level the chin. Reach up. And then hands behind. Interlace the fingers, this time in the awkward way. Use your non-dominant grip. The skin of the palms touches here if you can. Straighten the elbows. Press the elbows towards the back of your mat. Now hinge at the hip. Spine stays long as you begin to fold forward. And let your forehead come down towards the mat. If you can, reach your knuckles up to the sky. That will create a great stretch in the shoulders. And then inhale and slowly rise back up. Keep the spine long as you come up. Once you're all the way up, release your arms. And then exhale the hands back to the thighs. Take a deep breath. And let it go. Do that again. A big, deep breath. And let it go. Good job. Let's come back to table pose now. And then from there, I want you to step your right foot forward. So bring that right foot between the hands, and if that means you got to step your foot forward a few times, go ahead and do that. Now begin to straighten the right leg, pull the right hip back, at the same time reach your head forward. And the effect of that is, for most of us anyway, to create a big stretch in the back of that right leg and in the gluteal muscles on that right leg. Pull your left hip forward a bit. Pull that right hip back even more, deepening the sensation in the back of the right leg. And then bend the right knee. And if you want, come up on fingertips and maybe scoot the left knee back a little bit. Now press the hips towards the right heel and keep looking straight forward. So don't look down at the right foot. Instead, look straight forward so your gaze is level. And the more you press the hips towards that right heel, the deeper the sensation, the deeper the stretch you're going to feel at the top of that left leg and those hip flexor muscles on the left side. 2 more breaths here. We're going to hold this for a little bit, deepening that stretch. And one more breath. Good job. Now as you exhale, bring your hands down, straighten the right leg, pull that right hip back again, pull the left hip forward a little, and remember to reach your head forward, so stretching out of the neck as though there was a string attached to the very top of your head, pulling you forward towards the front of your mat. And then bend the right knee and step the right knee back so it meets the left knee. We've come back to table pose and just step the left foot forward. Now we'll go right to the other side. So left foot is between the hands. Now come up on fingertips as you pull, or actually you can stay on the hands. Pull that left hip back this time and pull the right hip forward. And try not to move your hips over to the right. If you do that, you're going to kind of take the stretch out a little bit. Instead, just press the hips straight back and then reach your head forward, just like we did on the other side. And are you noticing that stretch in the back of the left leg? I would guess you are. And then bend the left knee. Now come up on fingertips. I was a little rushed in doing that before. And press that left knee forward. If you like, you can scoot that right back a little bit. And then gaze straight forward and press your hips towards the left heel. And hopefully that's creating a stretch for you in the top of the right leg and the hip flexor muscles on the right side. And we're going to find 2 more breaths. Big, deep, full breaths. And one more. Now breathe in deeply. And on the exhale, straighten that left leg, pressing back through the left hip. Reach your head forward and kind of center your hips. And that's it. Now bend the left knee. Come up on the ball, or tuck the toes on the right foot. Forgot what I was going to say. Bring your right knee off the mat. Now bring the weight into the left foot, and we're just going to step the right foot forward into a standing forward fold. Here, let your head drop down, bend your knees a little bit. You can take opposite elbows if you want. If that feels good, that'll create a nice stretch in the back of the legs for most of us. You may even feel that stretch coming into the back of the knees. That's where the hamstring muscles attach at the bottom of their attachment point. Now bring the arms out to a T. Weight comes into the front of the feet as you slowly begin to rise. Find a reverse swan dive, rising up. And then reach the arms high and exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. Now inhale and up and back. And then exhale and swan dive, folding forward. Come to a half lift now. Hands either on the mat, if you feel flexible enough for that, or hands on the top of the shins. What we're working towards here is lengthening the spine, bringing the weight forward into the front of the feet, and then exhale, fold forward, and let your head drop down. Inhale, reverse swan dive and rise. Reach up and look up, and exhale the hands to heart center. Let's go through that twice more. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to a half lift. This pose is called Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, let your head drop down. Press into the front of the feet and rise. The core and the glutes engage and reach up high, and then exhale the hands to heart center. Let's go through that one more time. Inhale, up and back, just the same way. Fold forward. Half lift. Exhale, the head drops down. Press into the front of the feet and rise. Reach up high and look up. And then exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. Now inhale up, bring the arms out to a T, and come halfway down. Bring your feet so they're about hip width apart, and then bend your right knee quite a bit and bring the right hand down. Walk your right hand forward a little bit. So my right hand is about 14 inches in front of both big toes. And then reach the left hand up, working on stacking the left hand over the left shoulder, and the left shoulder over the right shoulder, and the right shoulder over the right hand. That's the alignment we're working towards. Gaze is straight forward. And now very slowly begin to straighten the right leg. Bend the left knee this time. Bring the left hand down and reach the right hand high. Now bring the right hand down. With chin on chest, round the spine as you rise, and let your arms float high, and then to heart center. Leave the hands at heart center as you hinge at the hips. Fold forward and then come to a half lift. As you exhale, release the head all the way down and step your left foot back into a runner's lunge. Press back on the left heel. Now bring the left knee to the mat, untuck the toes, press into the right foot and rise, reach the arms high, and then exhale the hands down on either side of the right foot, tuck the toes and bring the left knee off the mat. With both hands on the mat, step the right foot back to plank pose, take a breath, and one more. Now let your knees come down to the mat, untuck your toes, and come to a cobra pose. Heart lifts up off the mat in cobra, your gaze is straight forward, elbows tucked in nice and close to the body. Now release down. Tuck the toes, push to plank, and now lift your hips into our very first downward facing dog. Take a breath. And another, a big deep breath. And one more big deep breath. On an inhale, left leg lifts, and then step the left foot forward so it comes between the hands. Now press back on the right heel so you feel that stretch in the back of the right leg, and then bring the right knee to the mat. Untuck the toes on the right foot. Press in the left foot and rise, reach up high. And then exhale, the hands come down on either side of the left foot. Now tuck the toes and bring the right knee off the mat and step the right foot forward into a standing forward fold. Let your head drop down. Take a breath. And one more. Now chin on chest, rounding the spine as you come up. It helps me to think about drawing my navel up as I rise. That helps me round. And then the arms float high. And exhale the hands, bringing them back to heart center. Take a breath there. And exhale, hinging at the hips. Notice my spine is nice and long. I'm trying not to round in the lower spine. Then let your head come down, and then a half lift. Exhale, hands come all the way down. This time leave the right foot forward and step the left foot back into runner's lunge. Press back on the left heel. Now step the right foot back into plank pose and take a breath. After the exhale, flow through a vinyasa. Come into upward facing dog and take a breath there. And on the exhale, lift your hips into downward facing dog. Stretch it out. On an inhale, lift the left leg up and step the left foot forward so it comes between the hands. Bring the right knee to the mat, untuck the toes, press in the left foot, and rise. Now the arms come out to a T. Take a twist to the left. Bring the right elbow to the left knee, then join your palms together into a prayer twist. Take a breath there. As you exhale, come out, keeping the palms together, reach up high, and bring the hands down on either side of that left foot. Tuck the toes and bring the right knee off the mat. And step the left foot back. We've come back to plank pose. Take a breath. And then flow through a vinyasa. Upward dog. Nice breath there. And downward dog when you're ready. Stretch it out now. We're going to find 3 breaths in downward facing dog. 2 more. Big, deep, full breaths. And 1 more. Now inhale, reach your right leg up, and then step the right foot forward so it comes between the hands. Left knee comes to the mat, untuck the toes on the left foot. Press into the right foot and rise, reach up high. Now the arms come out to a T. Take your twist to the right, bringing the left elbow to the right knee and joining the palms together. Reach that right elbow up. Come back to center, pressing the palms together. Reach up high. Exhale the hands down, then tuck the toes. The left knee comes off the mat as the left leg straightens. Bring the weight into the right foot and step the left foot forward. Standing forward fold. Arms out to a T. Press into the front of the feet and reverse swan dive. Nice and slow coming up. And then exhale and bring your hands to heart center. 3 breaths now. Two more. more breath. Good. Now keep your right foot forward and just step back with the left foot, about a 3/4 step, so about 3.5 feet. And then bring the left heel to the mat. Then bring your hands to your hips. We're going to come into Warrior One, bending the right knee. Check that right knee and see if the right knee is pressing straight forward. And then pull your left hip forward a little bit so you end up with your hips square to the front of the mat and not kind of pointed off to the left side. So hips square to the front of the mat. Now lift your gaze so you're looking straight forward. Shoulders square to the front of the mat as well. Once your whole body's squared up to the front of the mat, release your arms and reach them high. Take a breath. Then as you exhale, bring your hands behind you and interlace your fingers behind your back. Straighten the elbows, press the knuckles towards the left heel. Draw the shoulder blades together. Now hinge at the hips and bring the right shoulder down towards the right knee. Let your head drop down and reach your knuckles up high if you can. Take a breath. Now press into the right foot. Keep your right knee bent. That right knee is still pressing forward as you rise up. So you're pressing into the right foot to help you come up. Take a breath. And then release the hands. Reach them high. Now straighten the right leg. Hinge at the hips. Reach the fingertips forward. Come down just halfway so your spine is about parallel to the mat. Then press into the right foot and rise all the way back up. And then exhale. Bring the hands behind you. Press the knuckles towards the left heel. Bend the right knee. We're back to where we started before we bent and hinged at the hips and brought the right shoulder to the right knee. Take a breath. And that's what we're going to do again. I'm having trouble talking today. That's what we're going to do again. Hinge at the hips and bring that right shoulder down to the right knee. Let your arms reach up and overhead, maybe getting a nice stretch in the shoulders. And then press into the right foot. Come all the way back up. Then release the hands to Warrior One. And then exhale the hands to Heart Center. Bring the weight into the right foot. And then step the left foot forward. Keep the hands at Heart Center. Hinge at the hips. And fold forward. Come to a half lift. And then exhale, let your head drop down. You can step or jump back to plank pose. 3 breaths now in plank. Press the hands into the mat. Elbows nice and straight. 1 more breath. And flow through Vinyasa now. Upward facing dog. And when you're ready, downward facing dog. Stretch it out. Now slowly begin to walk the feet forward to the hands. There's no rush. Just notice what it feels like to walk the feet forward. Eventually standing forward fold at the front of the mat. Your knees can bend a little bit here. And let your forehead come closer to your knees. Bend your elbows if you want. Now chin on chest, rounding the spine as you rise. The arms float up and overhead. And then to Heart Center. Take a breath. Now with the left foot forward, step the right foot back. About a 3/4 step, so again about 3.5 feet or so. And then bend your left knee. Remember to square your hips to the front of the mat. Square your shoulders, and then lift your gaze so you're looking straight forward. Now let the hands come up and overhead. Palms face towards one another with the arms straight. And you'll notice your biceps are just on either side of your ears. Now bring the hands behind. Interlace the fingers in the awkward way this time, straightening the elbows. That'll draw your shoulder blades together. Keep the gaze straight forward. Keep the left knee bent. Now hinge at the hips and fold forward. Let your left shoulder come down to the left knee. Reach the knuckles up and overhead. Let your head drop down so the neck muscles release. Take a deep breath. And do that again, a big deep breath. Now press into the left foot and slowly rise back up. Once your gaze is level, release your hands and then straighten the left leg. Pull that left hip back a little bit. Now hinge at the hips. Reach the fingertips forward. Come down to the point where your spine is about parallel to the mat, and then press in the left foot and rise all the way back up. And then bring your hands behind you again. Interlace the fingers in the dominant way. Square the shoulders and the hips, and then bend the left knee. Now hinge at the hips and bring the left shoulder down. Second time towards that left knee. Reach the knuckles up and overhead. And then press in the left foot as you rise. Release the hands. And then bring the weight into the left foot as you step the right foot forward. Hands at heart center. Take a deep breath. And exhale, let the breath go. Do that again, a big, deep breath. And let the breath go. Now bend the knees as we come down into chair pose. We're going to keep the hands at heart center in chair pose with the fingers pointing up if you can. Bring the weight back into the heels even a little bit more and draw your tailbone down towards your heels. So tailbone pulling towards the heels. And then right elbow to left knee into a chair twist. Take a breath. After the exhale, slowly come back to center and then right over to the other side. After the exhale, back to center, back to chair with the hands at heart center, and then straighten the legs and swan dive to a forward fold. Come to a half lift. And exhale the hands all the way down to the mat. Now step your right foot back. The left foot's going to follow as we come to plank pose. Check in with your hips and see if the hips are aligned with the shoulders and the heels. So you don't want your hips up, kind of in a downward dog kind of shape. That isn't what we're looking for. We also don't want the hips dropping down too much, creating an arch in the back. We want the hips just nice and level. Take a breath. And one more. Now flow through a vinyasa. This will be our last vinyasa of the practice. Gaze straight forward, upward facing dog, and then finish by bringing your knees to the mat and pressing back towards child's pose, bringing the knees apart. Let your forehead rest on the mat. Walk the hands forward a little bit so you're creating some tension between the shoulder blades on the back. 4 more breaths. We're doing a total of 5 breaths in child's pose. Start to let your breath settle a little bit, returning to its normal rhythm. Two more breaths. One more. Now come up to table pose and bring your knees back so that the knees are right under the hips. Now, move the right hand over to the center of the mat so the right hand is just below your face. Spread the fingers wide and press the right palm into the mat. Now reach the left hand up and then look up towards the thumb on the left hand. We're going to do thread the needle pose. Bring the left hand under and through, and then let the left shoulder land, let the left side of your face land, and then reach the right hand forward so you're straightening the right arm. Now open the right hip, or right shoulder rather, up a little bit more towards the sky, but try and still keep your hips square and level. So square to the front of the mat and level with the floor or the mat. Now 3 breaths to settle into the pose. 2 more. And 1 more breath. After the exhale, slide the right hand down in front of your face, press into the right palm, and then let the left hand reach up and overhead, look up towards that left hand, and then bring the left hand down, back to table pose. We're going to do the same thing, but go to the other side. So bring the left hand down below your face, press the left palm into the mat, reach the right hand high, look up towards the thumb on the right hand, And then bring that right hand under the body and come all the way down to the right shoulder, right side of the face. And then reach the left hand forward, straightening that left elbow, palm facing down. Now see if you can open the left shoulder up and maybe look up towards the sky, still keeping your hips level though. Now 3 breaths. 2 more. And 1 more breath. Now slide the left hand down, press into the left palm, straighten in the left elbow, reach the right hand up and overhead, and then bring the right hand down so it meets the left hand. Let's reset the spine. Inhale to cow pose, and exhale to cat. Now hold in cat. Press your hands into the mat, draw your navel up. So think about lifting your navel up towards the sky or towards the spine. And now see if you can bring your forehead a little bit closer, just 1/4 of an inch closer to your knees. And then release the tailbone down so that your hips come down to your heels. And then rise to kneeling and bring the hands to the low back. With the fingers pointing down, press your hands into the low back, draw your elbows a little bit closer together. We're going to do a baby camel pose. And when you're ready, lift your chin up. Draw the shoulder blades a little closer together and breathe. 1 more breath. Keep pressing the hands into the back as you slowly come up. And then once you're up, let your hips drop to your heels again. Hands to the thighs. Now, come to a seat. And once you're seated, bend your knees about 90 degrees or so with the soles of the feet on the mat. I'm facing the front of the mat. And then come all the way down to your back. And once you're there, let's find happy baby pose. Now, notice my tailbone is lifted up a little bit above the mat. I can feel it. So I have my sacrum, kind of the top of my sacrum pressing down. My tailbone is lifted up. So that's rounding my back. That's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is to pull my tailbone down like that. So the tailbone and the whole sacrum are contacting the mat. And if you're not able to do that, don't worry about it. It's just something to work towards that feeling of flattening out the back a little bit, the lower part of the spine. Now relax your shoulders a little bit and let the back of the shoulders, the shoulder blades, come down towards the mat. And now, if you can, bring the soles of your feet together and then bring one hand over the other on the pinky toe side of the feet. Let your knees come apart. Pull that tailbone down again. Notice it probably lifted up as you moved into that pose. And then let your heels come a little closer to your pubic bone. It's another hip opening pose. Now let the shoulder blades come back down. If you've lifted those up away from the mat. So again, we're flattening out the spine a bit. And now release the hands from the feet. Bring your hands down by your side and then straighten the legs, pressing the heels up towards the sky. Now bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet to the mat. And then walk your feet back until you can brush your heels with your fingertips. Some of you, if you're particularly flexible, you can get a hold of the ankles like this if you want as we move towards bridge pose. That's always an option if that's available to you in your body. Now press into the feet and lift the hips, coming into a nice bridge pose. I want you to make an effort to lift your hips higher than you normally do. So create a little bit deeper back bend than you normally would in this pose. And then breathe into that back bend. That is, feel the breath moving up and down the spine on an inhale and an exhale, following the curvature of the spine. 2 more breaths in bridge. And 1 more. And now slowly and with control, let your tailbone come down to the mat. And then bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees come apart into an inverted cobbler pose. The hands can be down by your side, or you can reach the arms up and overhead. It's your option. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, see if you can allow the knees to come down a little bit closer to the mat or the floor, allowing your body to release any tension that you're feeling in the inner part of the thighs. Or you may also feel that in the outer part of the hips and the abductor muscles. Do that once more. Deep breath in, and on the exhale, see if you can relax it a little bit and let the knees drop down just a bit more. Now, bring the hands to the outside of the knees if you need to. Slowly bring the knees together. The feet come off the mat. Hug the knees into your chest, and then lift your head up, bring the forehead towards the knees, rounding the spine, and then release the head back to the mat. And then bring the feet back down to the mat with the soles of the feet again right behind the glutes, as if we were going to do another bridge pose. We're not. What I want you to do instead is to heel toe the feet to the edges of the mat. So the left foot's on the left side of the mat, the right foot's on the right side of the mat. Actually walk the feet forward towards the front of the mat about 5 or 6 inches and make this better. Bring the arms out to a T now and anchor into the palms. So flip the palms so they face down. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, let your knees float to the left. Now that left knee may come all the way down to the mat. The right knee probably will not. And now see if you can shift your gaze so you're looking off to the right. And just take a couple of breaths, breathing into this supine spinal twist. One of the things that's unique about this particular twist is that one leg is externally rotating and the other is internally rotating. So the right leg is internally rotating, the left leg is externally rotating. And let the knees float back to center. Your gaze comes back to center, so you're looking straight up, and then the knees float to the right, and your gaze will shift, of course, to the left. See if you can let the outside of that right knee drop down to the mat. And about 3 more breaths. And 1 more. After the exhale, that final breath, let your knees come back to center. And then hug the knees a last time into your chest, and the forehead comes towards the knees so the spine rounds. And then start to gently rock forward and back. Just massaging the spine all the way down to the tailbone. And then eventually, when you're ready, begin to rock yourself into a seat. And when you're seated, come to a cross-legged posture. Bring your hands to heart center, pressing the palms together. As we now welcome the end of our practice, draw a deep breath in, and then just let it go. Do that twice more. A deep breath in. And 1 more. Breathe in deeply. And let it go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I offer you, as I always do, loving kindness. May you be happy and well, and may you be safe. May you be peaceful, and may you be at ease. Namaste.